In today's episode, we will cover: does the solar plant work in the dark too? Can we run heavy equipments with solar power? Minimum area required. Will a solar plant restrict movement on the roof? How much savings can be done annually? How much maintenance is required? What are the recurring expenses? How soon the benefits will start post installation? Work from home or anywhere is the new normal. In this new normal, electricity is the lifeline for all gadgets. To control the carbon footprint and save cost as well, solar power has emerged as a viable and durable solution. In today's episode of Your Home Inside Out with KS Associates, we are meeting Simerdeep Singh. Simerdeep has been in this field for a number of years and has installed hundreds of successful installations in residential, commercial, and even remote villages. Welcome, Simerdeep, to our show.
Thank you so much, Karan. So nice of you to come over and have this discussion.
My pleasure. So we are standing on a 6th floor building where Simerdeep ji have done a wonderful solar panel. So we will get all the question answer from him that you have asked us in all your emails and chats. So we'll start from the very first question. So first explain, how does this solar panel work?
Karan, it so happens कि solar के बारे में एक जो misconception है वो ये है कि solar जो है वो सूरज के होते काम करता है. It runs when the sun is there.
Yes.
Actually, solar does not run on sun or on the sunshine. It basically runs on the sunlight.
Okay.
So what happens is when the sun, the basic I'll tell you, the sun when it falls on the solar panels, the electrons get activated and they generate electricity.
Okay.
So this is a DC current which then gets converted into AC current through an inverter.
Okay.
And that's how you get the electricity.
Okay.
But this starts as soon as there is dawn and there is sunlight.
Okay.
So the solar panels start working on that. So it's not about sunshine, it's about sunlight.
Okay. So in fact, you have answered my second question first. I was about to ask you, when there is bad weather, let's say rainy season or cloudy weather, does the solar panel still work in that weather?
Yes. Though the efficiency gets reduced naturally.
Okay.
Because when the sun is out,
okay,
the sunlight, the intensity of the sunlight is much better than in a cloudy weather or during the rains or maybe during the fog session.
Okay.
So basically it is the intensity of the sun that makes the solar plant produce more, whereas as compared to those days when there is lesser sunlight or there is a cloudy weather. But the generation is still there.
Okay. Tell me, how much is the minimum area required to put solar panels?
Generally, Karan, the benchmark is taken as that 100 square feet area is good enough for 1 kilowatt.
Okay.
But that used to be a benchmark, not anymore, because now the capacity of the solar panels, that has increased. Earlier in a 2 square meter area, you could barely get 300 watt power of the wattage in a solar panel. But now in that much area, you get up to 650 watt power.
Oh, wow.
So considering that, in the same 100 square feet area, nowadays you can erect plants almost up to 2 kilowatts.
So you mean to say any space which, let's say, have 100 square feet or more area, a solar panel can be fixed there and it can give us about a 1 kilowatt of wattage?
A minimum of 1 kilowatt.
Okay.
As per current day standards, a minimum of 1 kilowatt, but you can get much higher wattage in that area nowadays with these high capacity panels.
Okay, that's nice. In living in the cities, we do and come across the space crunch.
Constrained space.
A lot of people don't have a roof available to them.
Absolutely.
So how can they utilize the solar panels?
So Karan, in fact, the reason I called you up at this place was this is a commercial space. So here you have an ample roof space where you can install the solar panels, and nobody wants to walk around on this space. But in residences, that's an issue.
Yes.
However, would you believe it, that solar actually makes the space usable for those people?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what we do is that wherever you go for a solar plant where you have a terrace, normally nobody can walk around a terrace because of the heat and everything.
Yes.
You can always create an elevated structure.
Okay.
So that serves as a roof as well as a solar plant.
Okay.
And moreover, you can use the space below for terrace gardening, sit-out spaces, and many more.
Oh, wow.
And over and above that, there are very unutilized spaces in your roof, like the staircase mumty, the lift room mumty, even servant quarters.
Okay.
So the roofs on the top of that, they can easily be utilized for installing solar panels.
So any open space can be used. It doesn't have to be terrace, but basically somewhere we can get sunlight.
Yeah, basically it has to be on the roof.
Okay.
Any space that is on the roof, any structure that is on the roof,
Okay.
on top of that you can easily install solar panels.
But if somebody is, let's say, living on the lower floor, first floor, second floor, but let's say, you know, I have about 200 square feet of open balcony. Can I put solar panel on top of it?
Yes, you can, Karan, but for that there are certain prerequisites.
Okay.
One is that balcony should not have any shadow area. So what happens is, unlike a roof, which is more or less open from all sides,
Okay.
so there is no reflection of a shadow or any structure on the panel. That is the first and foremost thing that we look at when we do a site survey.
Okay.
So it's very essential that you only select those spaces there won't be a shadow. In balconies, there are chances that the shadows would be there of adjoining houses, of the houses in front of you. So unless it's an open space in front of you and a balcony is basically south facing.
Okay.
So that would be the most conducive space, and there you can, of course, just like a shed, you can have a structure on the top of which you can mount the panels.
So it basically affects the efficiency in case there is shadows.
We have structures in Gurgaon, in Delhi, where the panels have been mounted along the facade.
Oh wow, okay.
But unfortunately, they look good, they look very nice, but the generation in terms of engineering terms is pathetic.
So what we say about, let's say, you know, ROI, or, you know, if I'll put, there is X number of, you know, amount which goes in putting up the solar panel. So how soon I recover that money?
So that is one of the most important questions that one has to answer in solar. And in fact, that is the exact reason why solar has to be so much important in everyone's life. The reason is simple, Karan. Any sort of solar plant of any capacity, you can expect a return of 18 to 20% on your invested amount for the next 25 years.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So considering nowadays scenarios with the dropping interest rates, this is the best option available.
Okay.
For one, that you generate clean energy. So in a way, you are getting paid while contributing to the environment. So you seldom do that. And secondly, there is another very important reason. You see, over the period of time, the electricity rate, they are going to increase every year. Right now they are subsidized, but that won't be the case forever. As you have seen in the fuel prices, they have risen considerably. So will the electricity rise.
Okay.
So when the electricity rates rise, that unit cost goes high, your electricity bill surmounts to a next level, whereas you are still consuming the same amount of electricity.
Okay.
Now, if you have a solar plant, you are basically not worried about the unit cost, because all your units that you consume are generated by the solar plant.
Okay. So how does it work? So, you know, solar panel generates the energy, stores it in a battery, and then we use it? Or, you know, there is also, you know, the electricity which is coming from the electricity department.
Yeah, from the grid.
So how does that, you know, balances out, or how does that work?
So basically, solar is generally done in two major forms. One is known as an on-grid solar, and one is known as an off-grid solar. So basically, on-grid means that the solar plant gets connected on the grid.
Okay.
And every inch of electricity produced by the solar plant, it goes directly into the grid.
Okay.
And on the other hand, you keep using your electricity that you consume from the grid.
Okay.
So the solar plant gives it to the grid, and you take it from the grid. And that balances out your consumption and generation.
So you get a net bill.
You get a net bill.
So you, like, you know, your solar panel produce, let's say 100 units, you use 200 units, so you will get a bill for 100 units.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or vice versa, if the solar plant generates 200 units and you consume 100, those 100 units can be used in the next month. So there is a spillover effect which keeps on happening every month.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So you know, to get that zero amount to be paid for a, you know, electricity bill.
That sounds fantastic when you see that bill.
I'm sure, you know, especially in winters it might happen, not in the summer so much.
Yeah.
So you've just explained about the on-grid solar panel, how does it work? So how does that off-grid solar panel works?
So the off-grid plants are basically battery-based plants.
Okay.
So till now we were talking about solar plants which were actually generating electricity and giving you 100%, up to 100% savings. Now there are areas where there is no grid at all.
Okay.
Right. So in an on-grid solar, there is a precondition that the grid has to be available in order to run the plant.
Okay.
So let's say that you have a residence in which you have installed an on-grid plant and there is sudden power outage. So the plant will shut down.
Okay.
So till the tenure there is a power outage, the solar plant won't generate anything. So it doesn't give any power backup.
Okay.
However, in an off-grid plant, that is the very thing that is taken care of. So that is used in conjunction with batteries, and the entire energy of the solar plant is stored in the batteries.
Okay.
So like in a remote village, let's say you have a school institution running where there's barely any grid, or if there is a grid, there are huge power outages. So in that case, if you install a solar plant there, so they will get assurance of a continuous power supply through that solar.
Okay.
And the biggest advantage is, especially in areas where there are huge power outages for very long durations, generators seem to be a very expensive option.
Yes.
Because with the rising fuel costs, the maintenance.
Plus, it's not good for the environment as well.
That as well. Whereas in solar, that is taken care of. So the only cost, that recurring cost that you have in an off-grid solar, is basically the batteries, but they too come with long duration warranties, 5 years, 7 years, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So, and that is more than compensated by the energy that you are saving.
So both work independently, on-grid or off-grid, or both can work simultaneously as well?
Yes, they can. So there is a system known as a hybrid system.
Okay.
Though that has not caught on that popularly, but that is used in areas where there is both grid as well as there is a power backup requirement of a substantial nature.
Okay.
So these hybrid plants work in tandem with the batteries as well, and they provide you with savings on the grid as well.
So the electricity that you make from all these solar plants, so it's just a simple electricity. Like, can we use it for the heavy equipment as well, like for running a AC, geyser?
Yeah. So Karan, that is, I think, one of the most pertinent questions that I answer, or that is one of the biggest misconceptions in the mind of people.
Okay.
In case of on-grid solar plants, the load is not a factor that is taken into consideration at all.
Okay.
So whether you have a 10 kilowatt plant and you're running a 100 kilowatt load, that is immaterial to the plant, because basically it is generating the electricity and giving it to the grid.
Okay.
And it is from the grid that you're using it to run the load.
Okay.
So there is no direct connection between the load and the solar plant at all.
Okay.
Whereas in the off-grid plants, yes, the load plays an important factor, because there it is designed as per your load requirements.
Okay.
So it can only run the load for it which it is designed for.
Okay. Okay. Good to know all these points.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really enriched today. There's another question that comes to my mind is, how about the maintenance? We put it sounds good, ROI is good, but how about the maintenance?
So again, I'll again talk about both the plants. In the on-grid plant, the maintenance is, as we call it, zilch.
Okay.
Zero.
Okay.
Because the only maintenance you have to do is probably the cleaning of the solar panels.
Okay.
So it's like as good as you have a car and you have to clean it every day so that you can ride it properly. As simple as that.
So just a cleaning with a cloth?
With a wiper and water, and that's good enough. And that too, you don't have to do it every day.
Okay.
In clean areas or during the cleaner seasons, you have to do it maybe once a week is good enough. So the better you keep it clean, the better generation you get.
You will get better efficiency basically.
Same goes with the off-grid plants. Only maintenance that may require is that those of the batteries, and those batteries are also tall tubular or lithium-ion batteries. If you have lithium-ion, then there's no maintenance at all.
Okay.
If you have tall tubular batteries, the tall tubular batteries are known as flooded batteries.
Okay.
And these batteries have electrolyte, and that needs to be topped up with normal water, distilled water, maybe once a month or maybe once in 2 months, depending on the usage.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So, Simerdeep, it all sounds very nice, but if I need to decide for my home, so how does I ensure that how much space or how much capacity should I put in?
So, Karan, let's say that you call me up and you say that, okay, I want a solar plant.
Okay.
But you're not naturally sure of how big the capacity is. However, you are sure that you are, generally when people walk up and they say that I need at least 90% reduction in my solar bills or electricity bills, or I need 100% reduction in my electricity bills.
Okay.
Depending on that is the baseline from where we start.
Okay.
Then we have to look at the area available to us. So that is basically the sunlit area that's available. In many cases, it so happens they have a large area, but that is not actually conducive for solar because it has a lot of shadow area.
Okay.
So area plays an important role. Second important part is that how much units generation do you need? So we calculate it by calculating your annual unit consumption.
Okay.
So let's say if you have 1000 units that you consume annually. So I'll try to build up a plant which can generate at least 1000 units in a year.
Okay. Okay.
So I'll know the capacity of the plant and I'll give you that, and from then I'll take it forth whether you have the area to have that plant to be installed, and of course the budget. So these three main factors, they determine how and which size the capacity of the solar plant you would be requiring.
So how long this process takes? So let's say, if I want to install a solar plant at my home, I call, somebody today. So how long the whole process will take?
Generally, in the Delhi NCR, it doesn't take up time more than 45 days.
Okay.
And that's from the inception, when we approve that this is the size and this is where the plant is going to get installed, and we move the application with the DISCOM.
Okay.
From that point till the commissioning of the plant, it's generally done within 45 days. So as soon as the solar plant is commissioned, the DISCOM, they come over to your place and they remove your actual meter and install a net meter. So that's a solar meter.
Okay.
So once that's installed, that very instant it is plugged in or connected, you start getting the savings immediately.
So it's right, as soon as you plug in, it starts from there only.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And all this permissions or licensing with different departments, per se, the power department, is done by the vendor?
Yeah, that by the vendor. So it's a responsibility of the vendor.
Okay.
So he basically takes the client's permissions, he takes all the documents from him, and then he does all the remainder work of submission and taking the necessary approvals.
So as you were mentioning about, putting in the capital, so is there any financing option also available for solar panels? Or?
Yes, there is available. There are a few companies which give financing.
Okay.
And it depends upon the capacity of the plant. For smaller plants, generally the companies are not that much keen to give a finance, or they give it at very high interest rates.
Okay.
For larger plants, yes, the companies are more or less, for especially the commercial plants,
commercial or industrial units,
the larger units. So there are many companies which offer financing options.
Okay. Okay. So just to end it, do you have any tips for people who already have solar plants, so that, it can last them for a longer period of time or give them more efficiency for the solar power?
Yeah, so not much of a tip, Karan, but just a suggestion that like you bathe every day to keep yourself clean and you feel better, so the solar plant needs to be bathed as frequently as possible. You keep your solar panels clean, you have a regular maintenance. So there are very small parts in a solar plant like wires and connectors, which over a period of time may be subjected to wear and tear, though they are built in such a manner that they outlast and they are more or less weather resistant.
Okay.
But it always comes handy if you have a regular checkup. Let's say even once in 3 months or once in 6 months, a person can come over and see all the connections are proper. That helps a lot.
So vendor do it automatically, or you need to call them up or remind them?
Look, generally when you install a solar plant, you get a certain warranty. So those warranty terms can be negotiated while you are installing the plant. They can extend from 1 year to 5 years, or maybe you have 1 year and after that you can have the AMCs.
Okay.
So the best part is that the solar panels, they come with a 25 years minimum warranty. And the inverters generally nowadays that are coming, these are the two basic components of solar. They come with at least 5 to 10 years warranties and even more.
Okay. Okay.
So that is one thing that is to your advantage, because with such long warranties, you generally are in a carefree environment that you don't have to worry about the products failing, because they are built to last.
Okay. So just want to check with you, are there any different technologies, or there are one simple or one standard form of solar panels available?
No, Karan, now in the current age, the solar industry, it's evolving at a very fast pace.
Okay.
And that's only because newer technologies, newer types of solar panels, newer type of inverters are coming up.
Okay.
I'll just give you a brief example. That earlier what happened was that we used to have string inverters. So basically in layman term, there was a single inverter to which all the panels were connected. Nowadays, we have technologies known as micro inverters, which is also my personal favorite. So these micro inverters, they help in generating far more better energy, because each panel has an inverter below it.
Okay.
Rather than connecting a large number of panels to one inverter, so you have one inverter per panel.
Okay.
So even if one inverter fails, the rest of the plant keeps working. So that saves out a lot of downtime.
Okay.
Moreover, these inverters, they are very safe. So generally power plants, they have a very high DC voltage.
Okay.
These DC voltages are generally more dangerous than the AC voltage we have in our homes.
Okay.
But with microinverter technologies, these things have come down to almost 1/10 the level and even more.
That's interesting.
So solar is also getting safer.
So it's getting cleaner, it's getting safer.
Yeah, what more do you want?
Thank you, Simerdeep, for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for Karan for having me over. It has been a pleasure.
No, you have given, a very wonderful information to all the viewers. I hope we have answered all your questions. As usual, if you have any more, do write to us. Do let us know and we'll get it answered from Simerdeep. Keep giving your wonderful response, your overwhelming questions. We are just can't thank you enough for the topics you are suggesting, for the comments, or the feedback that you are giving. Do keep writing to us. Keep safe, keep watching, stay invested.